Hello, I am Maggie, and thank you for joining me on my channel. I am Maggie Love. Right now, we're doing a slow crawl through the book, The Magic of Everyday Life by Maria Szepes. And when you do get a chance, please hit subscribe and like, and I love to hear your comments. So we are slow crawling through it, pulling out pearls to see what might help us. So we're in chapter 7. Chapter 7 is called How to Attain That Our Environment Adapt to Us. So we're pushing through. After the foregoing passages, it is obvious that our environment will only adapt to us if we adapt to it first. So to adapt everything out, where everything's us pushed out. So we adapt within, we clear within, and out clears. People like accommodating individuals. They endeavor to please those they like, whose sensitivities, attentiveness, and sympathy reverberates echoes of these self-shame virtues and multiply them over. Now, this is not saying to become abused. Remember, this is a spectrum. If you know that you are a people pleaser or you have codependent issues, then guards up on your toes and be watching for the counterpart, which is a narcissist. But the beautiful thing, or it could be psychopath or other things, the beautiful thing is that as we work through these things, we heal, we get strong, they leave. So, whereas in facing an enemy, everyone close up, whereas in facing an enemy, everyone closes up and becomes defensive. Before a considerate and understanding friend, a person will let go of their barricades, step by step, and allow passage into their innermost matters. So we're basically saying around an enemy, someone perceived, we can go into flight, fright, freeze, or fawn. Or when we're in a friend, we're in like chill hop. Let's chill and relax. Let's settle down. Let's have an enjoyable time. You're not guarding yourself as much. Even the most assured person longs to share burdens, receive advice, and impetus for someone stronger or less biased in areas where they feel weak. So everybody needs that good and trusted friend or somebody to lean on. In this refined circulation of mutual accommodation and support, no one is carrying out commands and no one is giving orders, right? Because nobody wants to be ordered around like a servant. We want to exchange. Nevertheless, cooperation unfolds in our environment in response to our benevolence, accommodating us in the way we wish, and does so voluntarily and with pleasure. Proof of this question is validating through the consequences of what we call negative conduct. For example, when a customer is impatient, argumentative, demanding, or even threatening, the attendant will instinctively and consciously do everything to retaliate the insult. If any of you love mob movies, you've seen that scene where they get the sandwich and they spit in it, right? So I'm not trying to bring bad thoughts into your mind, but I'm just trying to say that a good attitude and patience in any situation will get you farther. The customer will receive a worse service, inferior goods, and deliberate delays. Okay, so that's if you're pissing off the people that are there serving you, right? In the end, the damage sustained and the loss of time is far greater than if the person had waited patiently. So I'm not saying be a doormat, but we all know sometimes you can feel yourself revved up and what's inside gets pushed out, and that's going to come back at you. So I'm not saying it's the easiest thing, and I do know that as we walk through life, sometimes, they say God will only give you what you can handle. Sometimes you're on your knees praying, Lord, I can't handle this. But the Lord knows what we can handle. The universe knows what we can handle, and it will dish it out for our betterment and growth. So if we are thinking that it's for our advantage, it will be to our advantage. Okay, so in the end, the damage sustained and the loss of time is far greater than if the person had waited patiently. In the same instance, someone patient, friendly, considerate, receives full service benefits and is treated like an ally because they simply express understanding through some sign, gesture, and smile. You know, we're more likely to do things for people, with people, when they're pleasant. The art of accommodation is by all means based on the knowledge of a character types. We cannot bombard the introvert, thorny, bitter, mistrustful person whose self-esteem has been damaged with excessively cloying behavior or aggressive favors and thoughts. I mean, they're just going to clam down. You know, they don't trust. And sometimes, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. I'm not saying walk out in the world and just trust everybody. You got to work through and know who to trust. But it's like if that person they're thorny, they're bitter, they're mistrustful, their self-esteem is low, you're going to like come up against formidable things, behaviors. Anyway, they would go into even deeper paroxysms. Their reflexes react in the same raw form as before. So they're like trauma, and they move, you know, the trauma's here, but they're still living life. And then somebody comes along, it doesn't even matter if it's, you know, traumatic or not. It's sad because then you start to attract more trauma. But then somebody can come along and not mean anything, but that's because that person perceives it, they're gonna bark back. So, however, everyone has their own formula, their soft spot, the touch which causes them to open. Finding this spot requires knowledge of character and intuition. So I'd just like to comment on this real quick, because anybody who is in like nursing, the medical field, healers, people who are really opening their heart and listening, that's what goes on. You start to find out, like that's why I didn't need to give my patients tons of drugs, because people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And when they know that you care, you're literally opening that soft spot. And when you do open that soft spot, you want to be respectful. Because, you know, sometimes I think, okay, I'm walking into a room, and just because I'm a nurse, I have a halo over my head, and I've never sinned or done anything bad in my life. This is not so. When you are working in any level as a professional nurse, doctor, lawyer, massage therapist, you are operating on a level that you have integrity, and that person, that trust needs to grow. You don't just walk right in and just be like, trust me because I've got all these degrees. That's part of our integrity, our character. We exhibit that in the way that we care for people, or we do business, or we raise our kids. We show that, and then through that process, people bounce back and they're like, I want to do business with you. I want you to be my nurse. I love Nurse Maggie. Or I want to work with, you know, this, you know, public speaker or healer, because they know that your character, your integrity, you're not going to exploit the soft spot. But also, the soft spot, also, you can get so much done, and also you can do things like, for instance, what a great world if you could take care of people and not snow them with all these drugs. Because sometimes, you know, drugs are not bad if you need them, like medications, like, I don't know, everything's got a purpose. But every time we take some type of medication or pharmaceutical or something, it literally makes like a little spot between us and our full healing, because we can't fully feel our body. But sometimes we need that. I mean, you're not going to, that thing about biting the bullet in surgery and shoving alcohol down people, and then people like in pain and then passing out while they're cutting off legs, that stuff's real. So thank the Lord for drugs, thank the Lord for anesthesia. But anything abused, like vitamin C abused, anything abused is not good. Everything in balance. All right, asking the question, how can we get our environment to adapt to us? would simply imply that we are promoting our self-interest through the use of various crafty means. Since we do not want our intention to cast such a shadow, our objectives must be precisely defined. Above all, it must be known that our methods, and especially our intent in this area, have as much to do with serving our material advantage as it does a useful edible plant's toxic counterpart, which may resemble it on the outside, but is in essence its opposite. So you, just because you're thirsty, don't drink the poison. So maybe that's not completely relevant, but what I'm saying is that something can appear as healthy, but it's actually poisonous, and something could be poisonous and it's actually medicine. There is a wonderful movie, Squirrel. There is a wonderful movie called Bless Me Ultima, and it's about abuela in Mexico, and it talks about how she knew the plants, and the grandma taught this to her grandson, and I just love it. I just love the fact that we acknowledge the moon, the earth, the sun, the like, not be disconnected. And I love that, because she knew what was a healthy plant, she knew was a toxic plant, she also knew how to use healthy and toxic plants for, what have you. All right, here we go. The quintessential difference is represented first by the goal itself, and then the ideals that extend behind the method. So we want to have good hearts. So we know that magic, which means strength, is either white or black according to its direction. It is density of matter or sublimating power. The direction that concerns us points towards disillusion and freedom. Through understanding the magic of everyday life, we are guided to the most youthful methods that loose the ties caused by improper habits and wrongly ingrained mental conduct, thereby furthering our development. Someone increasingly open who can reconnect to positive abilities, once again reclaiming strength of character, is by nature more successful in the external material world than another under the yoke of inhibitions and depression. We are going to listen to that one more time. Toop, toop. Here we go. Someone increasingly open who can reconnect to positive abilities, once again reclaiming strength and character, is by nature more successful in the external material world than another under the yoke of inhibition and depression. Yeah? So we definitely are loosing what chains bind us, because we want to be successful in the material world, not for selfish reasons, but because we know we are here in a time such as this, and our purpose in the world is to do much more. Right? All right. This success is merely an accompaniment or an accompanying symptom of the mental effort invested. How we respond determines whether we live up to the task or fail in the incessant battle to make our ideals reality. Success and of itself vampirizes, sucks the life out of it, right? Making us gullible and inclining us to invest our energies in illusions for which time never grants abiding guarantees, right? So success, we're just trying to succeed for, I got this, I got that. It vaporizes. It really, it's empty. Like, you can have all these things. All that glitters isn't gold. You can have it all, but if you don't have it all inside, the castle within, oh, there's gonna be trouble. What we are striving for is sustaining inner collateral, inner transformation. In comparison to this goal, success is proverbial piece of tattered rag. The only relationship we can have to it is expressed by the adept. It is not wrong to accept what the world has to offer you, but it is dangerous to give yourself to the world for it without reservation. Oh, we're going to take two. Take two. Let's do that one again. The only relationship we can have to it is expressed in the adept. It is not wrong to accept what the world has to offer you, but it is dangerous to give yourself to the world for it without reservation. Now, you got to know the streets. You got to know the world. You got to know who you're surrounded by. You know, even somebody becoming like family or friends or whatever, you got to know their heart. The only freedom is equilibrium in success and adversity alike. Everything else is extremist, obdurate exertion, vested interest, dependency, and subjugation. All right, guys. Ooh, chillin' or heat. One of these. Depends on where you at in the spectrum. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And don't forget to look around, because the magic of everyday life is in you and it's all around you. When you do get a chance, please hit subscribe and like. I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you. And I just bless you on your journeys. All right, y'all. Peace in. Peace out.